Hey everybody, we're going to do a very quick how-to guide using reciprocals and exponents. Now we're going to focus on fractions and exponential numbers. So you may see a problem like this where you have 2 to the negative 2 equals 1/2 to the, well, we don't know, some power. Now this is actually not as complicated as it may look. If you know anything about reciprocals, basically a reciprocal is just the exact opposite. Like light is the reciprocal of dark and vice versa. White and black are reciprocals. Right and wrong, things like that. So let's say we had 3/4 and I said write the reciprocal. Well, that would be 4/3. Okay? Well, if you have an exponent attached to a number, and see, like we have a negative 2 here, which we really don't want to deal with because it makes dealing with exponential numbers slightly more difficult. So if I have a number like that, and I want to figure out what this right here is going to equal, well, all this is saying is take this number and take the reciprocal of it, and that will tell you what your new exponent is going to be. Well, in order to have a reciprocal in the first place, we have to set this up as a fraction. So this is going to become 2, sorry, I've got to move my paper up here, 2 over 1 to the negative 2. Okay, so now it's a fraction. That kind of looks more like a z, but it's supposed to be a 2. Equals 1/2 to the, once again, we don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this, and that's going to change the sign of my exponent. You may have heard of like flip and multiply. It's basically the same concept. If you had a fraction that you couldn't deal with, you flipped it so that you were able to multiply it easier. That's all we're doing here because it gets rid of this negative. So this becomes 1 over 2 to the 2. Because see what I did here is I had 2 over 1 to the negative 2. I put the reciprocal fraction down, which is now 1/2 to the second power. It changes this from a negative to a positive. So your answer over here should look exactly the same. And now we know that our exponent is a 2. So that box that we were missing earlier is a 2. That makes sense? We're going to do one more, kind of follow through the same concept here. Let's say 3 to the 4th, the negative 4th, equals 1/3 to the something that we don't know. Well, I can write this as a fraction, just like I did a minute ago. And then I can convert that into a reciprocal, which is 1 over 3. And remember, when you flip the fraction, it changes the exponent. It makes it a positive. Now, I'll show you something else here in just a second. That's an exception to this whole... It's still going to be opposite, but it won't be positive anymore. So that tells me that my answer, which we already knew was going to be 1/3, because that's a reciprocal, is now going to be to the 4th, and that's what goes in our little box. Okay, so there you have 2 examples, and you can see both of them right now. I'm going to do one more example for you, which shows you that it can be different on occasion. So let's say I have, let's do 4 to the 5th equals 4 over 1, no, sorry, messed up. Let's say 4 to the 5th equals 1 over 4 to the something. We don't know what. Well, if I write this as a fraction, that's going to be 4 over 1 to the 5th. And you may want to put this in parentheses so you can kind of make sure that you don't think it's 45 instead of an exponent. Or you could just write neater than I do. That'd probably help. And then you're going to take that, and you're going to do the reciprocal of the fraction, which means literally the exact opposite, which is now going to be 1/4. When you take that, what's it do to the sign of your exponent? That's right, it flips it. So now I'm going to have a negative 5. So that means that this over here is going to be 1 to the 4th to the negative 5. Now typically, you won't have to deal with this very much if you're going from a positive exponent already, because that kind of just gives you extra work. But if the problem is set up like this, they're wanting to know what this is going to be, and so you have to flip it and change the sign, which gives you a negative 5. But like I said, most of your problems are going to be set up more like this, where you have a negative exponent, and no one really likes negative exponents, so you're going to flip it to get rid of it, and that gives you the positive exponent. But that should kind of clarify how all that works. And if you have any questions, just post a comment and I'll try to help you out.